Let us get into this now with none other than Joe Hildebrand. You can read, you can write to him, you can see him, you can listen to him, lots of different ways. The wonderful Hollie Hughes, of course, New South Wales Senator, joining us from Canberra because she's still sitting, even though the downstairs people aren't. So,
That's right.
Hollie, the Prime Minister is a double dissolution because he may not get what he wants when it comes to the housing funds. But, of course, that's because the economy's going amazing. No one's got a problem with him. Literally tonight, the former a hero of the union movement and the CEOs are telling him there's a problem. It's more expensive than even before the pandemic to build a house, let alone all of the other issues that mean that currently 53% of people think the Prime Minister's doing a poor or very poor job, and 57% of people can't name a single thing that's made their life better. But no, bring on a double D.
It's just ludicrous because if you actually sit down and do the math of what's required for a double dissolution, and that's the second defeat of a bill after 3 months and then 6 months before the next election's due, he would actually have to recall Parliament in order to put a bill he would know would fail in order to generate the trigger for a double dissolution. It is just insanity on steroids. It is an absolute rabble in the Senate this week. They've turned up for a Senate-only sitting week, put up their build to own or helping build, whatever it's called. It's just the most pathetic bill that no one in the chamber is supporting, like no one except Labor. And they are behaving like petulant children. It's now 2 days into a 4-day sitting week, and we haven't even got to a committee stage of this bill. It's just going nowhere and nowhere incredibly fast. And, this is a government unravelling day by day.
Joe, again, the Prime Minister, or no doubt the people around him may go, oh, well, you were sort of talked into it by the press conference and all the rest of it here. But there seems to be, look, there is an obvious impasse here where the Greens want it to fail because they want to go on the renter question, particularly in southeast Queensland. The Libs want it to fail because they disagree with the sheer size, the cost of the policy, let alone anything else. So, I mean, does he actually think that anyone sitting around a barbecue is going to be convinced by his plight as a reason for us to go to have an election?
Oh, he's not going to go to a double D. Yeah. And there's no way he would. There's no reason he would. Tactically or logistically, Hollie's quite right. It would be all but impossible. He wants to go to an election, I am sure, and I'm not repeating anything he's told me, but I have no doubt I've said this all along.
He wants to go full term.
It is clear as the nose on your face that the best chance of Labor getting re-elected with a majority is giving the Reserve Bank as much time as possible to start cutting interest rates so that people think that the future is going to get better. They forget the lean years of the past, and Albanese can say at the end of all this, see, I did it, I've gone full term, I haven't done it. People don't like early elections in Australia generally. They almost always backfire. Bob Hawke in 1984 was a pretty good example.
Malcolm Turnbull, 2016.
Exactly right. So he goes full term. He says, I've always said I was going to go full term. I've done that. The RBA is almost certainly going to cut interest rates, touch wood, in the first half of next year. So he goes in April, May. And away you go. I think he's simply keeping everyone on their toes, and I think he's been doing this quite effectively all year. You've had people making all sorts of predictions. We're meant to be in the middle of an election campaign now, if not already having gone to the polls, according to some predictions. And so he's got everyone sort of up in a lather, whilst he's still just quietly plodding a long game.
That's very kind of you. Let's talk here about what's happening with Victoria. He's doing his best. Well done. I'd get that feeling. I've been there before. Don't worry. It'll get better. Now, of course, one of the keys apparently to the Liberal Party getting even close. Now, again, I think the analysis that has been discussed from the former Labor senator from Queensland is a little too favourable to the coalition, but it's the one that suggests that there could be a minority government in either direction. For that to happen, something pretty significant has to happen in Victoria. Now, the expectations were that a very significant number of seats that Peter Dutton would require would come from there. The analysis and beliefs seem to be the Andrews effect doesn't really matter anymore. But whether there's a crossover, we'll all wait and see. Now, I get it, Hollie. You are not from Victoria, but you'd know plenty of people from there inside the political world. Why would there be a sense of hope amongst Victorian Liberals that federal seats that they've lost are about to come back their way when we know what the advertising's going to be? Black and white pictures of Peter Dutton, the cop from Queensland, ooga booga, ooga booga, vote Labor.
Yeah, I read that article today too. I mean, I guess the first thing they'd be hoping is that their organisational wing and their state parliamentary team keep their mouths shut.
Stop recording each other.
Stuff up like New South Wales division did of the Liberal Party. I mean, they're just the king of own goals. And Victoria hasn't exactly been a shining light of great Liberal groundbreaking efforts. So I think they'd be hoping that this whole pseudo-deeming issue goes away pretty quickly and that the state team shuts up, gets some good candidates. I know people like Tim Wilson have been working really hard for a long time. There's also a number of Teals down there who not only are they not delivering, but they're consistently voting with the Greens and Labor at every opportunity. So the reality is, and everyone's predicting this, that we're going to go to some form of minority government. That is almost the worst outcome for the country I think any of us can imagine. I think the only thing worse than just a blanket minority government is minority government with this Labor government in partnership with the Greens. And you can see Adam Bandt lining himself up now. Well, the Teals will be trying to get out of it what they can, but the Teals have proven that they are just a vacuous waste of space. They achieve nothing. Their one issue, climate change. I mean, this is how politically savvy these people are. They literally came in pretty much week 1 or 2 of this government and got their climate change, emissions target in legislation and lost their only issue. It was literally their only issue, and they gave it away within the first couple of weeks of the parliament.
And don't forget, though,
they are just nothing.
Yeah, well, they're also now pretending that it's about 2035 targets, and theirs is 75%, which, of course, is...
but climate change is not anywhere near. Climate change is not anywhere where it was because people can't afford the rent, they can't afford the mortgage, they can't afford the groceries, they can't afford their power bills. And the power bills in particular are being reinforced by this ridiculous race to renewables that this government, along with the Teals and the Greens, is consistently chasing.